How to start your Monday morning. Start the fire, boil the water, grind the coffee, add filter, coffee in the filter, water into filter, watch it drip, more water, watch it drip some more, fill your cup, raise your cup, and no. Leave the house and leave it up to the professionals to make the coffee. I'll stick to the conversations. Welcome to Caffeinated Conversations with Brooke Allen.
And of course, the holiday season in full swing. And real quick, I do have to say a big shout out to people. It was a week ago today that I realized I had this horrible pain and I had to go to the doctor, and he's like, "Oh, well, your ribs are stuck." And then it was diagnosed as slipping rib syndrome, which is a very bizarre but painful thing. So I was dealing with that all week, and I was kind of complaining about it all week on social media. So thank you. Somebody sent me a pizza. That was nice. I know, right? I'm like, I should get slipping rib syndrome more often. Pizza, coffee delivered, all of it. So that was good. So a big thank you to Chubby Charlie's Pizza. They just opened in Royal Oak, and it is a great pizza. If you've never tried it, I love pretzels. Soft pretzels are like my favorite thing. I don't care how much I have to pay for it. If I'm at Comerica, I'm paying $20 for a soft pretzel because they are so good. But the crust on this pizza was amazing. So again, thank you for that. And then also, this was a super exciting week for me, or a weekend, because I started out in this industry as an actor. And my kids are in their first show together, my twins, and they are at Ridgedale in Troy. It's a Wonderful Life, the live radio version. And they're with their dad, Greg. And it was really, it was a long rehearsal process. They were exhausted and cranky. And I was super nervous for opening night. You know how you sit there, right? And you're like, oh God, please don't, what are they going to do? Or what, So I kind of sat there this whole time, and they were amazing. And I can just say that I would say if they weren't, because I have been known to critique my own family if they're in a show. So I was so proud, and it was just amazing to see them. I'm going to get misty just thinking about it because the end scene was so sweet. And so I'm so proud of them. That is running through December 21st at Ridgedale Players in Troy. So go see it if you have a chance. And you can tell the twins, oh, your mom sent us. So that would be fun. Also, so that was Friday night. And then Saturday, I emceed at the Redford Theater, another one of my favorite hangouts. Elf was showing. So it was packed with kids, and the Robert Lee Dance Company, the girls were there. They did a performance beforehand. And it was very funny because usually you just get up there, you say some fun facts about the movie, and then you start the movie. Well, this is the first time that there was a live performance. And so they tell me like 10 minutes before we go up, oh, listen, you're going to have to talk for like 10 minutes while we're getting the stage ready. And I'm like, oh, would have been good to know that. Okay. So we just sat there and oh, okay. So anyway, so we just, we sat there, and I managed to get it done. And then the sound guy had told me, I'm going to be whispering in your ear when we're ready to go, when we're like a minute out. And so when he said that, I thought, how is he going to be whispering in my ear? Well, he was behind the curtain whispering in my ear. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we're like a minute out. It was hilarious. So anyway, a big shout out to the Robert Lee Dance Company. I think they're based in Southfield. The girls were adorable, and it was such a good time. I will actually be there next Sunday. White Christmas is showing. And of course, It's a Wonderful Life and all of that. So a lot of fun. If you've never been to the Redford Theater, it is amazing how some people are like, what are you talking about? And this place is beautiful. So if you have a chance to check it out, please do the Redford Theater. Like I said, I'll be there doing White Christmas next Sunday, the matinee, 2:00. Hope to see you there as well. And one more thing about the Redford, they have amazing concessions. It is the only concession stand, no pretzels, but the only concession stand where I can find Chuckles. Do you remember those candies? I love Chuckles. So I can find that there. And of course, they've got real butter on the popcorn. So, okay, I'm done recapping my weekend. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I do feel like because we're in the holiday season, we need to take a deep breath because it is stressful. It is fun. It is merry and bright. But there is some stress that goes with this. And we've got a great show ahead of us. I've got Diane with me from the Furniture Bank, and you guys are doing something that is not talked about very often.
Yes.
You are doing a bed fundraiser.
Yes. So we all know about food insecurity.
Yeah.
But I don't think a lot of people realize that we have a bed poverty issue here in Metro Detroit. And it's hard to believe, but tonight there'll be 20,000 children who will go to sleep without a bed for their head. And you're probably wondering, well, where are they sleeping?
Right.
Well, they're sleeping either on the sofa, maybe with a family member, but many times on a pallet or on the floor. And so the Furniture Bank of Metro Detroit is doing the 1,000 Beds Challenge.
Okay.
Where we're trying to raise enough money, $250,000, to buy a brand new mattress, foundation, pillow, and bedding for children in the area.
Okay, so this started in November.
Yes.
Right? And how's it going?
Well, we're about a third of the way there.
Okay, we can do this.
333 beds so far
Really?
funded.
Okay.
And the great part is that we have some awesome partners. And Serta Restacraft out of Romulus is funding one for every 9. So for every 9 beds funded, they're donating a bed. And then we're working with ABC Warehouse,
Nice.
and they're doing a fun thing called Comfy for a Cause, where you can buy like loungewear, and all the proceeds from that will come to the Furniture Bank as well.
So is that lounge? Let's talk about the loungewear
Yeah.
just for a second, because it is
It's-
cozy season, right?
Right,
So is
exactly.
it
Like,
matching family pajamas? What are we talking
It's like, kind of like sweats and
Oh,
sweatshirts
love that.
and,
Okay.
that kind of stuff.
Right, right.
And they have fun sayings on them and stuff like that. Yeah.
Love that.
I mean, that's my second favorite thing to do in the world, is to come home, put on my comfy clothes, and then, of course, getting into my own bed.
Yes.
It's where I feel the safest, and where I can just reflect on the day and think ahead. And, isn't it your favorite place in the world?
How often do we say when we're traveling or something that, oh, I can't wait to get in my bed?
Yeah.
I didn't sleep well. I was in the hotel. I didn't, it was uncomfortable. And to have that luxury and to realize that there's 20,000 kids
Yeah.
in the area that do not have that.
Yeah. Last week we did a story with a woman who has 3 children. Or not a story, we just were there, and we delivered, 2 mattresses, a playpen, a king bed for the mom and dad. She had like 3 little kids. One of my favorite stories is when we were delivering a mattress. The mom came to the furniture bank warehouse, and she picked out everything, and she said, "Hey, Damien, here is your new mattress." And he's like, "That's for me. I'm so excited." And so we delivered it the next day, and he was about 7 years old, and he pulled on our driver's coat, and he said, "Hey, mister," and it's 2:00 in the afternoon. He's like, "Hey, mister, can I go to bed now?"
Oh,
And it wasn't about sleep. It was about safety and
the comfort,
security.
right?
And yeah, exactly.
So it is interesting because not having a bed is uncomfortable. But for children especially, it has so many ramifications.
It does. There's an unspoken message that when you don't have a bed, you're saying to that child, you don't matter. But when they do have a bed that they can climb into, everything changes. They're sleeping through the night. They're learning better in school. They can dream bigger dreams.
Right.
And so, it may be a simple little thing, but if you want to change a community, I think it really starts with a bed.
And I totally agree with that, because even the whole idea of being tucked in.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, how awesome is that to remember as a kid, like being tucked in and, saying
Or
good
your
night.
mom reading a book to you.
Exactly.
Or saying prayers.
Yes,
Yeah.
just all of it. So it is much bigger than just somewhere to lay your head, because it's all encompassing.
Right.
And even with kids too, the learning. I mean, their whole lives are affected by this. And even school, I've heard of kids falling asleep in school. My twins actually knew somebody who kept falling asleep in school. And I think that they actually said, "Hey, are you okay?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, I didn't sleep good. I was on the floor."
Wow.
But you don't think anything of that, right? You think, "Oh, well, maybe something happened. Maybe, I know sometimes I forget to wash the sheets or put them back on, and it's late. You're like, can't you just sleep on the mattress so we can just go to bed?" But it's the whole idea. And how did you guys come up with this to do this?
Well, I This is a really good question. I think it's a passion of mine because I realize that sleep is a gift, is the best gift you can give somebody.
Yes.
And I knew that there was a bed poverty issue, and I just thought, okay, what could we really do that, I don't know about you, but wherever I've worked, I've adopted a family. And it's fine. It's great. They need these things. But I always think like toys bring smiles, beds bring security.
Yes.
And it's something that they're going to have for years, not for months. And so I really wanted to, try to create some awareness about this.
So you said $250.
Can buy
all of it?
a complete set. But we've got a little thermometer on our
Okay.
website, and $10. We'll get checks for $10. We'll get checks for $5,000. It depends.
And that includes the bedding.
It includes the mattress, the foundation, sheets, comforter, and pillow.
And how awesome is it to climb into new sheets?
Yeah.
And the new bedding, right? I mean, just to snuggle up and be like, okay, I can do this now, right? I mean, what an amazing thing. So you still need some help.
Yes.
We're going to get it for you.
Yes.
We're going to manage this. So how do people donate?
Okay, so they can visit our website, furniture-bank.org, and give a donation.
Okay.
Or they can visit ABC Warehouse and they can buy loungewear, and the proceeds will come to the Furniture Bank.
Okay, so let me ask you this. What about the kids? How do you find them?
Oh, this is an easy one. We work with 75 social service agencies in the metro area, from Salvation Army to St. Vincent de Paul, Haven, wherever. They have identified and qualified these families. And at any given time, we have about 200 families waiting for furniture and mattresses.
So this is a harder question, and I don't even want to ask it, but I'm going to. So what happens to the kids who need it, and if you don't meet the goal?
Oh, well, we'll continue to work.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
yeah.
Well, like I said, we're going to help you, right?
Yeah. Well, we have a long way to go. If we're just trying for 1,000 beds and there are 20,000 children,
Yeah, that's a big,
it's an
big
ongoing
number.
need. But I think the bigger thing is to let people know that, wow, there is a bed crisis here.
Did you guys know that?
No.
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 See, so there's 3 people right there
Yeah.
that you just raised awareness for. Well, thank you for telling us about this,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping, that 20,000 kids get new beds, and this ends December 31st.
You know what? It technically ends December 31st, but people can continue to donate all next year because
Okay.
the need is always going to be there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Okay, so Jennifer and Laurel, you are with me, and we're kind of keeping a little bit on the kid theme. You are with New Hope Grief Support Center, based out of Northville, and grief is, I think it's always very important to talk about during the holidays. I mean, it's important to talk about any time, but during the holidays, it can be so much worse. And a lot of people don't know about you guys either.
Yeah. Unfortunately, until you actually go through grief, you don't know what it is or what you need. And so kind of like a hidden gem. So when you experience a loss, there is New Hope Center for Grief Support that can provide free grief support to children, families, and adults impacted by the death of a loved one.
And I was on your website earlier today, and the whole idea of there's different, I guess it is categories.
Yeah, it's
right?
age and loss specific. So you're really connecting with peers that have gone through the journey or are currently going through the journey. It's a connection element. So you're connecting with others to know you're not alone, learning about the emotions and reactions associated with grief. So you feel a little better prepared if and when they arise. And then the opportunity to grow through it by being able to talk about your person, be able to talk about the experiences that you're having in this journey, and just being comforted by peers that are also walking this journey as well.
I think that makes a difference when you're with somebody who's going through kind of similar circumstances.
Absolutely. I think that's kind of what sets the organization apart is that we follow a peer support model. So you're working with individuals, your facilitators have actually walked this journey and are further out in their loss. So they've done their grief work and are experiencing healing, but those are who lead the groups. So you're with other people, again, similar age, same type of relationship. And you're just navigating that grief journey with people that have walked it before.
And so, Laurel, you have walked this. Your dad died when you were 4.
Yep.
Okay. And how has that impacted the trajectory of your life?
I think it really impacts every area of life. I think whenever you lose somebody, like the residual effects and the secondary losses are tremendous. And I think just when children, I mean, both personally and watching other children walk through it, it impacts so many things from an increased likelihood of developing mental illness and having substance misuse issues or academic difficulties and social challenges. It impacts so many other areas of your life. And you don't always realize it in the moment, especially children, I think, because it's just something they're living through and they're not really seeing it from an outside perspective.
So I shared with you before we started about my previous husband. He was killed in 2004, and my daughter was 11 at the time. And the whole idea of, as a parent, struggling with your own grief, and honestly, I think I did it wrong with her because I tried to hide my own grief to get her through hers. And then, years later, you hear, well, you didn't care. You never cried. And I'm like, I cried all night after you went to sleep, but you try to be strong. And so do you help parents navigate that?
We do. A really big part of our focus is also providing peer support for the adults too, because really the best way kids are going to learn how to grieve is from actually watching their parents grieve. Yeah. But unfortunately, the reality is like when you're going through it, it's their first time grieving and it's your first time grieving a spouse or your parent's child. And there's no perfect rule, but everyone's just doing their best. So.
Well, I think it gets complicated too, though, because there's so much to do.
Yes.
And so when you're in I've got to get this for that and planning and all of the stuff that goes along with it, it's more overwhelming and it's hard. When that happened, I was in California and my family was here in Michigan. So they all flew out. But at the same time, when the silence, right? And you're sitting there and you're like, okay, what do we need to do now? And sometimes you can't stop crying and you can't get through it, but you have to.
Yeah.
Right. But I do think that the way I grieved, if I could do it again, I hope I never have to, but if I could, I would show her and not hide it so much because I think that actually impacted her in a big way. What you just said, she didn't see it modeled.
Yeah. I think it's just trying to protect your child, which makes sense. I think that's what everybody would logically do is you want to protect them from emotions, but really everyone's feeling them. It's just part of grief. There's certain emotions and reactions you just can't avoid. And when kids can see you do it, they're like, okay, it's okay if I cry. It's okay if I'm angry. All these things are normal and I can feel them too.
And as a family, it's really important that the whole family understands that they can all do it a little differently because grief doesn't come in a uniform package where we all put it on. Everybody experiences it different, but if you can talk about it as a family, have conversation around it, talk about, what your challenges are or what you miss about that person, it's really important to do that. So you all know where each other are at, but you can support each other too, because it's very different for each child and for each adult that is going through it.
So when I first started my career out in California, and I used to do this segment called Out on the Town, right? So I would be in a restaurant or somewhere and people, do an interview, and the restaurant, patrons would be able to ask a question. But one of my first interviews out was the 5 stages of grief. And it was so interesting because people were calling the radio station asking questions, and they were literally handing me papers. And that stuck with me. That was years before George died. But I kept thinking, wow, people are really wanting and needing to talk about this. And I mean, we went over time because it wasn't stopping. But the 5 stages of grief, very interesting because everyone does it different. And there's some disagreement about that, right?
Yeah,
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so those 5 stages were actually identified by people that were actually in the process of dying. So it wasn't the grievers, the family members watching or, grieving the losses to come. So it's a very different, yes, those are all common experiences, all feelings that people will have, but grief is very chaotic. You can be doing really well and feel like you're 10 steps behind one day, 10 steps ahead the next, and then, you know what, a year later, you can't even get out of bed. So it just takes time, and it's a process, it's work, and we can't stress that enough. It's literally being able to let yourself sit in those difficult emotions and feel them. so you can process them, and then in time they become a little bit less intense and raw as what they do in the original stages. So it's just really important to give yourself grace, and it's a process. Grief stays with you forever. So once your death happens, that person is always part of who you are, but they're gone. And as a society, we don't do a very good job recognizing that's still part of our DNA, and we still want to talk and share about that person. So it's really important, for supporting those in grief, that creating those conversations. I still want to hear about my dad, Henry, who died. Laurel still wants to be able to talk about her dad. Even though they're short-lived memories, they're part of who we are. And so just creating space for people to talk about their loved one. It's two tips that we always give out is use their loved one's name, and then just keep trying. Sometimes people like detach or isolate after loss, but keep trying to get them, hey, how about we go for a walk, or how about I stop by and maybe I could do the laundry, or maybe I could pick up the kids one night for you. So just keep making those offers of support. They're really important and they matter.
Yeah, I think it's a tough thing when somebody comes over and says, oh, I'm just checking on you.
Yeah.
And they'll say, well, what do you need? And what you just said, you kind of don't know what you need. So by offering something straight out, right, it makes a big difference. And you're shaking your head. Have you gone through this, or?
Oh yeah, for sure. I was just thinking when you were talking about your parent, like, your mom is your mom, right? It doesn't matter how old when you lose
yeah.
your parent. You're still that child.
Yeah.
My mom's been gone 23 years, and look at me.
Yeah. Grief
Right?
does that.
there.
Grief does
yeah,
that.
Yeah, but it's all good, right?
Yeah.
But for sure.
Yeah. So grief is a universal life experience. We all will go through it at some point in time. But as a society, we don't talk about it, so nobody ever feels prepared when it happens.
How come you think we don't?
Because people are afraid of death. They don't want to talk about death. It's a downer. Perception is you'd be considered bringing something that's not joyful or happy to talk about. So a lot of people don't talk about death and those
people
emotions.
are afraid to cry, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like just to show their emotion, like I'm not strong. Well, actually, I think you're strong to show your emotion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The vulnerability piece, I think, is
Yeah.
so hard. I think we struggle with it as a society.
Right. And what is
show
it
it.
about this time of year that makes it seems
Yeah.
like they come in threes? No, they come in tens. I mean, like, no, it's crazy.
Yeah, well, the holidays bring up our triggering for a lot of memories, like what your childhood was like with your mom, what my childhood was like with my dad. And so those just really set the par of, our memories and what trajectory of what we want to do with our families. And then, it's at a time when that seat is empty at the table, Thanksgiving, or, sometimes traditions have to change because, the spouse of the griever just can't put on the same Christmas festivities. So just being really adaptable. But it's like that void. The holidays are very difficult, especially for new grievers. All of those first, and Laurel talked about secondary losses, and those are some of your secondary losses. That person is not there for these big moments in life.
So the weddings,
Weddings,
graduations, new babies, all of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's considered a secondary loss.
Yep.
That's interesting. I've never really heard that or thought about it that way.
So you grieve over and over again, based on those secondary losses. Plus just, missing the person.
Right.
The one thing that was surprising to me is the first year you're going through, you're still in shock, I think, to some degree. Even if it's sudden or if you expect it, it's still there, and I know some people have said, well, you knew, like my former mother-in-law, you knew she was going to die. But she was sick, but she's still gone.
Yeah.
Right? And so there's two, it's interesting the different ways people look at things. But the one thing, the first year for me was super tough as far as the first birthday, the first Christmas. But the second year, way tougher because then reality has set in. And then you're kind of like, oh, so this is how it is now. And I don't know if you guys have found that.
Yeah.
Especially in spouse loss. We hear that a lot in spouse loss. With child loss, it's just the same kind. It's still that heart-wrenching numbness. It's just still there. But in spouse loss, we definitely hear year two is sometimes a little bit more challenging. But then again, everybody's a little different. Some people might do really well, have their support systems in place. Other people struggle for years. So it's just really important to be self-aware and, know that there's free support services out there to help you.
Okay, so how do people, do you do in-person and virtual?
Yep.
You do,
Yep.
right? Okay.
Yep. So the best thing you could do is reach out to our organization. Our phone number is 248-348-0115. You'll get connected with your grief coordinator, Courtney, and she'll get you plugged into all of the programs and services we have available. Or you can reach out and check us out on our website at www.newhopecenter.net, and you can actually see all of our programs and services. You can register for any programs, and then all of our, we have 30 ongoing loss-specific groups. So they can get plugged into one of those that meet ongoing throughout the year.
Are these volunteers? How are you funded?
Yep, we are. So we are primarily grant funded, but we have generous donors that have gone through the program, been so impacted that they pay it forward and provide, fruitful donations to help us provide these programs and services. But we've been around for 25 years, so we are very blessed by the continued support, but we always are looking for more donations and always volunteers. We have 250 active volunteers that help us.
250?
Yeah, that help us.
very
I mean,
Phil's eyes just got big. He's
Well,
like,
that's a lot of volunteers.
that is a lot of volunteers.
Yeah.
we could not do what we do without them. I mean, we've even gone into schools now and provide school-based grief support, so training and educating professionals.
Are you just in Metro Detroit or all the state?
Nope, just Metro Detroit.
Wow, 250 volunteers. Good for you guys.
Thank you.
That is amazing. You do have a kids camp too that comes up, and a gala coming. I love galas. It's not until next year though,
April.
right?
Yep, April.
My calendar is marked, man. So we're going to come back to that, but I want to talk to Phil real quick because he's the executive director of Advancing Macomb, one of my dear friends, Phil, and we've all nonprofits, right? So
Yeah.
you're, when she said 250 volunteers, you were like, wow.
Wow, that's so many volunteers. I
So-
mean, it's great. It's a great show of support for your organization and for your mission. And I think that it really indicates how much that need really speaks to people, too. That's really incredible.
So Advancing Macomb, for people who don't know what it is,
Yes.
tell us what it is.
Yeah, Advancing Macomb is a nonprofit organization ourselves, and a lot of the work that we're doing is really intended to support other nonprofit organizations in getting better at what they do. A lot of our programming is educationally based and really focuses on the nuts and bolts of running a nonprofit organization, management, governance, fundraising, etc. And so we've launched a number of programs really designed to help provide that to folks primarily in Macomb County.
So as far as nonprofits, and all of you know this, but what is the toughest thing? Is it finances to get people to donate, time? What is the hardest one to get?
I think money is usually at the top of most nonprofits lists. I see some nodding heads over here. I love that we're here together as nonprofits today, so this is fantastic. But volunteers, especially at this time of year, also are really a significant need for many nonprofits. And so to hear that a nonprofit has such a great core of volunteers to work with is really encouraging.
How do you get the word out that people can donate, not just money if they can't, but they can offer their time, and sometimes time does translate to money in a different kind of way, right?
Oh, for sure. No,
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
it's, we all have gifts to the table, right? So you're looking for time, talent, money, influence, and passion. So one of those things, if you can find it in your heart to do something this holiday season, it really, truly, I learned last week, it is in giving that we receive. I just helped out a family and I was like, oh, so that's what it really means. And I'm in the nonprofit world.
You're like, oh, I get it, right?
I give and I do that thing, but this one was so personal and I was like, I really see the difference here. And so I'm sure that's what you focus on is helping these nonprofit leaders get better at what they do, right?
Yeah.
And that's a huge thing because where do you go? Businesses have B2B, but where do nonprofits go?
Yeah. Well, and there are not very many organizations like Advancing Macomb, but one of the things that we're able to do is actually help connect folks from the community with local nonprofits if they want to volunteer, if they want to support something that's happening. We've developed this really great network of nonprofits, again, primarily in Macomb County. We're location-based, right?
Yeah, whatever.
But it's a great opportunity for us to be able to help support people who want to give back in those ways to their communities. A lot of organizations will put it out on like social media media or in their newsletters, like, hey, we need volunteers. Maybe there's a specific day that they need specific help or a more ongoing sort of engagement. But trying to rally that kind of support can be pretty difficult. And so we're happy to play a role in connecting willing volunteers with organizations who need that kind of help.
Well, I think Diane mentioned it, though. You said passion.
Yeah.
And so it seems to me, if it's something that you really connect with, that you're going to give your time and your money, probably, right? Because you identify with the program and it means something to you and you want it to continue. You guys have been around for 25
5 years, yeah.
So 25 years, and what's amazing is a lot of people don't know about you.
Yeah. And what is really unique is we're finding that our growth has really trajected over the last couple of years. One, COVID, but the word of mouth. People that have gone through the program telling someone else, and someone else telling someone else, have just really expanded our reach. We don't pay for any advertising. We really want to see all of our funds go back into our programs to support as many grievers as possible and put on really good quality programs. But I will say the measure of one of our success is, watching volunteers, people that have gone through the program, want to pay it forward and give that piece of, peace, comfort, care to someone else is like one of our biggest measures is, seeing them come forth and say, I want to help do this. I know I'm new to my loss, but how can I come in and support the organization and help other grievers? It's very powerful.
I think part of it might be knowledge, like you want to share, you want to know that, like if there's a mom out there saying, I don't know how to get my kid through this,
Right.
And I would say,
Yeah.
okay, let her see you cry,
absolutely.
I mean, there's things that you can teach other people, I guess, because you wish you had known it. Is maybe a big part of it too, right?
Yeah. And just, you continue to honor your person by serving. And that's a very rewarding gift after a loss, is being able to still remember and do something in their honor. So I think that's why a lot of our volunteers also participate and help others.
Yeah, but if you have 250 volunteers, one person tells one person, it multiplies 15 times. So you're really getting a lot of power.
We are. We are blessed. We're so blessed.
And nonprofits, there's a lot, Phil, that you've talked about in the past that start, and because it is so difficult, even though they're trying to do good out there in the world, they don't always succeed.
It's true. It's true. It's tough to kind of get yourself out in front of people who might be supportive of your work, whether that's through volunteerism or making cash contributions, but really having some idea of how you want to put yourself out into the world, I think, is really important. Having some sort of plan for how you're promoting and how you're engaging with the broader community to really help people understand what it is you're trying to achieve and what your mission is can be a really helpful sort of thought, exercise to go through.
Yeah, because there are what, like 250 different nonprofits just in Metro Detroit alone. And, we've been around for 6 decades, and I think we're the best kept secret in Metro Detroit is the Furniture Bank of Metro Detroit. And I think that you're right. You there's an old saying that you can't wink in the dark. So you got to let people know about your mission.
What does that mean? You can't wink in the dark?
Meaning no one's going to see it if they don't know who you are. Right?
No, every time I love to wink. Every time I do that, now I'm going to think of you.
Yeah.
So let's talk about collaboration versus competition.
Yes. Oh, I love this conversation. I have a passion for nonprofit. I see no competition, and everybody has their lane, and I support. There are so many charities that I love, and I think that we have to collaborate, right?
Absolutely.
So think about the Furniture Bank in Metro Detroit. These are families that are transitioning through homelessness, domestic violence, fire, flood. Maybe they've lost somebody.
Yeah.
Well, now I know that you guys exist. Now I can refer to you, right? And obviously I've spoke highly about your organization because, nonprofit leaders need to better and connect in the community. It's kind of like leadership of nonprofit. Right.
Yeah.
And so I think you're right. I think that the more people are exposed and we get to know each other, and then, maybe it's not a good fit for me, but I can say, oh, you know what? You'd be an awesome volunteer for, this organization in Northville.
Or you can truck to Macomb and
Options.
Boy, you really are down on Macomb.
I'm
Yeah.
just giving him
I come all the way
grief.
out
I
here
know.
to Royal Oak, and man,
I love Macomb. I love Macomb. So, but Philip, that's collaboration is something you guys really, really embrace.
yeah, it absolutely is. I consider it a way that we do business. Diane, similarly, I don't really see competition here as a sector. In the region, we really need to be supportive of the work that each of us are doing in order for us to really meet the needs that are out there, right? The need exists, and the number of nonprofits that have been formulated to help serve the need, whatever that need may be, are doing very real work. And to be competitive about resources or around who needs the services isn't beneficial for any involved and does not productively help to meet those needs.
So, what about grants? I hear a lot about grants, and I know nothing about them, but they're competitive, right, to some degree, because everyone needs something. And how do all of you get through that process? I mean, how do you know which grant to apply for? That's something you help sort out, right?
We certainly can, yeah. Grant seeking, grant writing, and grants management is it's a whole ball of wax, right? And when we're looking at opportunities, we're always thinking about whether some of those opportunities may be better pitched as a partnership with another organization. So if there's an opportunity to work with somebody on something we're trying to achieve, and this grant funding might support that, then that's a really good way to approach actually meeting the need or providing the service. When it comes to that, you mentioned on some level those dollars can be really competitive, and that is absolutely true. Because those dollar amounts are pretty limited. The funders generally keep those pies at a level that they can manage, which often means that some nonprofits are not going to receive those resources, right? It's a very real thing. But that doesn't mean that there's not additional opportunity, and I think it's incumbent upon us as nonprofit leaders to always be looking for those opportunities, to always be looking at those collaborative efforts and where we might be able to work together to achieve more than any of us might on our own.
And grants can be very specific. For example, it could target children, women, human services. It can be about education. It can be, so you just have to find those right channels.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, what would you say, Philip, to someone thinking about starting a nonprofit?
I don't ever want to discourage somebody from doing something good for their community, but in that circumstance, if they have not already started a nonprofit, I would encourage them to look around and see who else is doing the same type of work that they're interested in, and then go volunteer with them. Get to know that organization a little better. See what you can learn about working in that service area before you start your own nonprofit organization. You might find that working with another nonprofit actually fits exactly what you're personally
One
want to
that's
achieve,
similar to what you're thinking.
Okay. Yeah, and that might provide you some satisfaction and an ability to help meet that need that you see without having to go through the rigmarole of starting your own nonprofit organization. If a person comes to me and they've decided they're going to do it no matter what, I'm going to encourage them to draft a business plan. Really think through how this is going to look, what you need in terms of resources and support from other people to get things off the ground, and to help them have a really clear picture of what to expect as they're moving this forward and what they're going to need to do in order to be successful.
How do kids play into helping nonprofits?
Huge.
Yeah.
We use a lot of, especially for our kids camp, we use a lot of high school students, also kids that have gone through our teen group with Laurel or the schools, and asking them to come and pay it forward and work with younger kids to let them know that, hey, I understand you lost mom, dad. I did too, but I'm here to show you that you're going to be okay. So we leverage a lot of our relationships with current, kids in our programs to work with us.
Yeah, and then there's so many high school kids that have to do service hours,
Yeah.
Right, yeah,
and,
for sure.
and a lot of fundraising, so that they're learning philanthropy early.
How do you tap into that whole sector of high school kids that need
You know
those
what?
hours?
You reach out to the high school and you say, we're interested in doing, well, for us, a furniture drive
Right.
at the high school. The kids will help load up the truck. They put in their volunteer hours. I think a lot of it, too, is awareness. I think kids need to learn the compassion that what's out there.
Right.
That you are blessed, but, you've been blessed. Now, can you help other people?
And I guess it's up to the parents too to model that behavior, right?
Absolutely.
Right? I think that's the best thing. Like, I remember taking my kids to do meals at Forgotten Harvest, and they still talk about that,
Yeah.
and now they're
Right.
parents, and I know that, you're right, it's all about modeling.
It's about modeling. And I think, and I will admit, I'll be the first to admit that I don't always do a really good job of that, right? So it's like, okay, well, they'll be like, oh, well, who'd you help this week, Mom? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. But calling you out on something is great,
Right.
but the modeling and showing them that you're giving back is huge, I think.
Right. Even like as simple as church, when you put your money in the basket, right? I mean, that's modeling, and it's showing that, you're giving freely.
Right, exactly. So what would you say to somebody who is thinking about starting a nonprofit?
I would say make sure that there's a void, because there are so many charities and so similar, and I would do my homework. I mean, there really needs to be a real need, because I think somebody else is already doing it.
And I think that goes back to Phil's point too. If somebody else is already doing it, and if you collaborate rather than compete, then everyone will be successful, right?
Right, exactly.
Absolutely.
And how about you? What would you say?
I concur. Do your homework, have some conversation, because what's to say you couldn't, if you have a niche, but it connects well with what we're doing, why not collaborate, and we could bring that piece on. So I definitely would have some conversations with your community.
So Laurel, you, going back to you, when you lost your dad when you were 4 years old, did that change obviously the trajectory of your life, but your work here, how does that make you feel when you're doing what you're doing?
It's really rewarding. I think back then there was such a lack of resources and education. So getting to be a part of that solution now, I think, is huge. And just getting to help other kids walk through it. I think once you understand grief in any capacity, like once you've lost a parent or once you've lost a spouse, like you understand what that type of loss is like. And having been a child of loss and getting to now walk with other kids, they're so much more willing to be vulnerable and share things, because they're like, oh, you actually get it. You're not just saying like, I lost a dog once, I understand exactly what that's like. Right. Not that it's not all significant, but I think a lot of times kids hear adults come at them with all these, I totally understand. And child loss, it's really unique. It's a different experience. So I think getting to walk with alongside kids and be like, I'm not trying to overtake your loss, I just want to know what it's like for you, is a huge experience.
What do you say to people who maybe have not yet experienced a loss, and they know somebody who has? And sometimes people choose to say, they don't know what to say, so they say nothing. And that is probably the worst thing you could do, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think not being afraid to bring it up, like the worst thing that could happen, losing them, it already happened. It's not going to make it worse to talk about it and give them a space to still share that. Like you had mentioned, like just with your mom and like getting to talk about her again. Like nobody asks. After the first year, people, they're so afraid to bring it up. They're so afraid to trigger you, and maybe they just think you should be over it, whatever it might be.
But
oh
yeah, there is that whole thing, right? Aren't you over this yet?
They're like, it is. It's huge.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you're still feeling
You're
that
still
way.
doing
It's been
that?
2 years. Like, yeah. That's huge though. So I think just like don't be afraid to bring it up and ask questions, ask for memories. Like trying the whole silence thing, it really does. Like it makes it worse. You're not accomplishing anything by pretending it didn't happen.
So give me 3 examples of how you bring it up.
Yeah. So I think like assuming like, let's say they've already kind of like lost the person and you know that, I think one of the first things is acknowledging like, I'm sorry for the loss. And I know it sounds so redundant, but it's like it's like way to bridge that gap. And then ask like, how are you doing? Like, how are you handling the loss itself? And really keeping it vague and vague enough so they can kind of fill in the blanks with what they're comfortable with. Some people might take that opportunity and they want to share everything. And some people like might not be as vulnerable and they might just be like, it's hard, but that's kind of what I'm dealing with.
Well, do people bring up your dad still? And how do they do that?
Not really, not that frequently. I mean, I work in grief, so I guess it's a little different of like my coworkers do. But outside of that, it's really not that frequent that I think it's on the day-to-day. I think family and friends do, but I think another thing you can do too is if you have a friend or family member that lost someone, like put those really important dates even in your phone so you can reach out to them.
That's awesome.
Because like the death anniversary, the birthdays, nobody remembers those and they stay so hard.
Yeah.
That's a great
It's like
tip.
little
Yeah,
things.
that is
Yeah,
awesome.
great questions are tell me, what was your favorite thing to do with them? Or how did you and your wife meet? Tell me about your child. When were they born? How much did they weigh? What was their personality like as a toddler? I mean, it's just engaging in conversation to welcome. Like Laurel said, you're not going to trigger them because you didn't cause the loss. The loss already happened. But it's saying, I'm comfortable enough to be with you. And when someone cries, it's being okay to sit with them in their tears and gently holding their hand, but being comfortable to be in silence with someone is huge to a griever.
And I think that's what we're most uncomfortable with is the silence.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, because it's kind of like, so how you doing? Silence, silence, silence. Or they start sobbing or, and people are uncomfortable with that. People are still uncomfortable with emotions. And to get it out there and to say, listen, it's okay if you need, if you need to cry or if you need, whatever. But like you said, the silence is more impactful than anything because it's just like, hey, it's been 23 years for you, but I'm okay. You're okay. I'm here if you need me. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes a difference. Okay, so I usually don't give a heads up on this. Phil has answered this question for me before, but I'm going to give you guys a heads up in a minute. I'm going to go to a quick break, but when we come back, I'm going to ask you, what would you tell your younger self if you met them for coffee? Okay, so I usually don't give a heads up on that, but I did this time because I'm feeling nice. So that being said, I mentioned at the beginning of the show that I had slipping rib syndrome, and Dr. Sal Kogan, he is the founder of the Nerve and Disc Institute, and it's very funny. Unfortunately, he was out of town last week, but he was checking in on me, and there seems to be some preconceived notion that he actually doesn't see patients anymore, because he's like the media doctor, right? He's treated the Detroit Lions, Detroit Tigers, but he does see patients. In fact, he texted me the other day and said, I love seeing patients still. It's like a highlight of my day. But one thing that he does treat is intradisc nutrosis. Try saying that 3 times fast. Come on, Diane. Say it. He's going to explain what it is. Let's watch.
Intradisc nutrosis is unlike most therapies. Most therapies, really, if you have a problem, you have 3 options. 1 is live with it. 2 is manage it. And there's a ton of ways to manage it, and that means manage the pain, because that's what our society has done in healthcare for the past several decades. But they don't repair the underlying cause if it's a disc problem. So if someone has a herniated disc, a bulging disc, degenerative disc disease, or spinal stenosis, they usually think they have one problem, their pain. They really have 2 problems. 1, the pain, and 2, the bad disc that's causing it. Intradisc nutrosis is the only therapy that was specifically designed to treat both problems, not just the pain, but the anatomy and physiology of the disc from a functional level to repair that and allow people to heal naturally without drugs or surgery.
And I think that is one of the things that I've heard most frequently from his patients is that it was holistic and there was hardly any downtime, and that is super important. In fact, I'm sending my aunt to see him because she had surgery and she's still in a lot of pain. And I said, you know what, you've got to try this, because if you don't have to have medication, I mean, that's a whole other issue, right? So he's got 3 locations, Farmington, Grand Blanc, Clinton Township. You can call 248-940-DISC. Again, that's intradisc nutrosis. I have it spelled out phonetically so I can say that.
What is this rib thing that you
Oh,
had?
the slipping rib syndrome?
Yeah.
It was crazy. So it started out with my jaw kind of hurting. And then, of course, I'm telling my mom, my jaw hurts. She's
And then
like,
you're thinking it's a stroke or
yeah, and my
something.
mom is like, I think you're having a heart attack. And I'm like, no, I don't think that's it. But then the pain was radiating and I could not even take a deep breath. So last week at this time during the show, I was like, okay, what? And then I had to go decorate a Christmas tree in Rochester. And I was like, okay, can somebody lift that ornament for me? Because it was really painful. So what you have to do, you have to stretch and you have to like kind of breathe, and then they eventually settle. So it's
What causes it?
good question. I don't know.
Wow.
But yeah, if you look it up, it's kind of crazy. It's like, slipping either stuck ribs or slipping rib syndrome. But I'm feeling much better today. So
good.
that's
Wow.
good. So yeah. And Dr. Saul, I'm going to see him soon, so I'm excited about that. But if you go see him and you mention Caffeinated Conversations with Brooke Allen, you'll get 50% off your treatment plan. Wink, wink, wink.
Good to know.
Yes. So no, he is fantastic. Okay. I gave you guys enough time to think about what you would tell yourselves, your younger selves, if you met them for coffee. So, Diane, what would you tell your younger self?
Did you like how I was trying to?
I did.
buy some
Yes,
more
you were
time
trying to
there?
buy more time. I'm on to you, sister.
You know what? I would say to myself, you can't mess it up. Things are going to work out the way they're going to work out, and don't take life so seriously because your destiny is going to find you.
I love that. Jennifer, how about you?
Welcome the silence, and it goes back to kind of that conversation we're having about grievers, but also just it's okay to not be moving, to be busy all the time. Things can get accomplished in silent moments.
Good thing.
Laurel?
I would say you can't save the whole world, but you can change one person's, and that's enough.
I love that. Phil, I know you've answered this question for me, but I'm going to have you answer it again.
That's right. I don't remember what I said the last time, so maybe we can go through the archives and compare
You will, for
responses. But I think that what I would tell myself is really that, everything's going to happen the way that it needs to, one way or another, similar to, what some of the others here are sharing. But just to stay on the track that you're on, and it's all going to be what it needs to be in the end.
But isn't it, it kind of... I'm just going to say it kind of sucks that these are things that we realize as we get older, and that we would have to go back and tell our younger self, listen, chill, you're going to be good. It's going to be okay, I mean, and I try to instill that in my twins, just like, hey, listen, you got to learn this now because I want you to appreciate it. Right. And that's kind of all part of it. So thank you all for sharing that.
Thank you.
Okay, Philip, you have something coming up. One more networking event for your nonprofits?
We do. We've got one more nonprofit roundtable program next week, Wednesday, December the 17th. We'll be hosting it at Susie Q's Kids in Sterling Heights. It'll be a great just sort of last opportunity for local nonprofits to come together and do some networking, but we will also be doing a service project while we're there, helping Dr. Mary and her team stuff some bags for their service population, which they provide comfort bags for kids who are in various circumstances who need a little extra comfort. I don't know for sure, but I think actually the New Hope Center may be working with Dr. Mary and Susie Q's Kids as well.
Oh, see, I love
We
that.
sure
Are you?
We
That's
sure
awesome.
are. We have our backpacks to give out to our kids to comfort them.
Oh, very nice. Okay, so you guys have these ongoing support groups, and can anyone join anytime?
Yep. Those ongoing groups, you can participate at any time. Laurel does have a Family Friday coming up this Friday, so we welcome the whole family that's been impacted by loss to attend. It's awesome. The kids will be making gifts for surviving loved ones and talking about their lost loved ones as well. So yeah, we have lots of things coming up, so you can check our website. But that's a big one this coming Friday.
Okay, so that's happening Friday, and then real quick, we mentioned the kids camp. I know that's not until next July, right?
23rd and 24th.
And that is so important and amazing for the kids to come together and to have this camp and to talk and to have fun.
Yep, 182 campers last year, 202 volunteers, and 9 different law enforcement agencies sent officers or first responders out to be camp counselors.
That is amazing.
That's so cool.
We're blessed.
Yeah.
Okay, Diane, and
The
we're all about
1,000
beds, the 1,000 bed challenge,
1,000
right?
beds. We're trying to write a good bedtime story, right?
Yes,
And
exactly.
So whatever you feel in your heart, we love a donation.
Okay, so the donations.
Furniture-bank.org.
Okay. Do you need anyone to sort things or do any? I mean, as far as the bedding and distributing or how any of that?
'Cause
That's all taken care of.
It's all through the
all through.
agencies and they pick it up, the families. So how it works is if you have an extra sofa or chair or whatever and you want to donate it, the Furniture Bank has 2 trucks crisscrossing Metro Detroit 6 days a week picking up furniture. And so then these families that have qualified will come and literally pick out their sofa, pick out their coffee table, and the dresser and their beds and stuff like that. So it's like for them Christmas, and it's a big deal. And so they either can pick up the furniture and take it with them, or we deliver it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned the little boy that had gotten the bed and asked the driver if he could just, and it's those stories and those moments
Right.
that really mean the world, right?
Absolutely. And, you know, the good thing is I get to meet the families and hear their stories, and they're heart-wrenching. You know, I mean, it's only through the grace of God go I, right? I mean, we all could be there one day, and so we do our best to help.
And that's really what it's all about, doing our best, right? Thank you all. I know I was messaging you on Facebook and like, hey, can we talk? You know, because it's obviously an important topic, grief, especially during the holidays, any day, right?
Yeah.
Because we need to help people get through it and know that there is hope, but it's going to look a little different. Right, is the bottom line. And Philip, if anyone wants to come next week, you have to be in Macomb.
We'll allow anybody
Will
who
you?
wants
Okay.
to join us.
All
Yeah.
right.
What
Yeah.
if you service Macomb?
That counts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Good enough, you're in.
that's right.
You're in. All right. Thank you so much, all of you. I appreciate it. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Thank you for
Holidays.
everything you are doing. And
And any New Year's resolutions for you?
please, yeah, to find a date. No, just kidding.
Well, next year will be huge because your twins will be graduating.
No, they're going into 9th grade next year. Oh, no,
wow,
they're 13.
They're in a play, and
Yep.
they're in the play already? Wow.
Yep. And actually, Daisy decided she now wants to be an actor,
Like her mother.
like her mom. And I'm like, okay, go into broadcasting. No, it's, you know.
What would you tell yourself?
Oh, see,
at coffee?
I've only been asked that one other time.
Okay.
You know what? I would tell myself if I met her for coffee, what age? Throw one out.
Ooh, 20.
Oh, gosh. At 20 years old, I just moved to California. And so I would say, you know what? Keep taking the risks. You're going to be scared. You're going to be homesick. You're going to go through a lot of earthquakes. But take the risks, because I would rather have taken the risk than have the regret.
Yeah.
That's what I would tell myself at 20.
That's good.
All right. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Like I always say, it's like 17 degrees today. Keep the coffee hot. We'll see you next week. A lot coming up. See ya. Thanks.